According to former F1 driver Christijan Albers, Hamilton might have a secret weapon that could make all the difference. While Charles Leclerc is a qualifying master, Albers believes Hamilton's long-run pace, his ability to deliver consistent, tire-saving performances over an entire Grand Prix, is what could tip the scales in his favor. As he put it, Lewis is always quite strong and very, very consistent, just like Max Verstappen. Martin Brundle put it best. He hasn't seen Hamilton this happy in years. And honestly, can you blame him? After 2 seasons of wrestling an unpredictable Mercedes, Hamilton now has a fresh start with a team desperate for a title. Ferrari hasn't won a championship since 2007, and they know Hamilton might be their best shot at finally ending the drought. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This won't be easy. Preseason testing showed that McLaren has the strongest package heading into the season, meaning Hamilton's first real challenge isn't just Charles Leclerc, it's Lando Norris and the entire McLaren operation. The pressure is on, but Hamilton isn't here to admire the view from Maranello. He's here to win. So, the big question is, will Ferrari deliver a car worthy of his talent, or will Hamilton find himself in another uphill battle? Either way, one thing is certain. This is going to be one hell of a season. Now, while everyone is hyped to see Hamilton in Ferrari red, former F1 driver Christijan Albers has an interesting take on how this battle will unfold. According to him, Hamilton might not have the edge over Leclerc in qualifying. But when it comes to race pace, that's a completely different story. We all know Leclerc is a qualifying beast. The guy has a ridiculous ability to pull out magic laps, even when Ferrari isn't the fastest car. But Albers pointed out something crucial. Hamilton's strength lies in his long-run consistency, much like Max Verstappen. Over a full Grand Prix distance, that raw qualifying speed starts to mean less, and tire management, strategy, and racecraft take over. And in those departments, Hamilton is still one of the best to ever do it. Why does this matter? Well, if Ferrari is competitive, this season could turn into a battle of strengths. Leclerc will likely get the upper hand on Saturdays, but if Hamilton is faster and smarter over a full race distance, then Ferrari might have a serious dilemma on their hands. Do they back the driver with 1 lap speed, or the one with a proven track record of converting races into wins? And if we look at history, Hamilton has made a career out of outperforming his teammates in races. Even when George Russell beat him in qualifying head-to-head in 2023, Hamilton still finished ahead in the driver's standings. The same could happen here. Leclerc might be ahead on Saturdays, but on Sundays? That's where Hamilton could remind everyone why he's a 7-time world champion. So, while Leclerc may have a slight edge over 1 lap, Hamilton's race day consistency could be the real game changer. And if Ferrari plays their cards right, this could be their best shot at a title in years. However, we know things aren't always that simple with Ferrari. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Ferrari now has 2 elite drivers, and only one of them can be the top dog. So, between Leclerc and Hamilton, who really has the upper hand? On the surface, Charles Leclerc has the edge. He's been at Ferrari since 2019, knows the team inside out, and has built strong relationships with the engineers. He understands Ferrari's way of working, how to extract the most from their car philosophy, and, most importantly, he's fast. Leclerc's raw 1-lap speed is among the best in modern F1. If qualifying was the only thing that mattered, Leclerc would be sitting on a few world titles by now. But this is where Hamilton's advantage comes in. 1-lap speed is great, but racecraft wins championships. Hamilton's ability to manage tires, adapt to changing conditions, and make the right moves at the right time is what has made him a 7-time world champion. He's also ridiculously consistent. While Leclerc has had moments of brilliance, he's also had costly errors under pressure. Hamilton? He thrives in high-stakes situations. Now, Ferrari says they'll treat both drivers equally. But let's be real, F1 history suggests that things never stay equal for long. The moment one driver starts pulling ahead, the team naturally shifts focus. And this is where things get really interesting. If Leclerc is ahead in the early part of the season, Ferrari may be tempted to back their long-term investment. But if Hamilton starts outperforming him on race days, will Ferrari really sideline a 7-time champion? The key factor in all of this is how fast Hamilton adapts. Ferrari isn't Mercedes. Their way of operating is different, their car philosophy is different, and their strategies, well, let's just say they haven't been known for making the best calls in recent years. If Hamilton can adjust quickly and assert himself as the team leader, he could become Ferrari's best shot at a title since Schumacher. So, does Leclerc have the home field advantage? Yes, but does Hamilton have the skills to turn the tables? Absolutely. And if Ferrari doesn't handle this internal battle carefully, they might have another Prost versus Mansell or Hamilton versus Rosberg situation on their hands. Ferrari fans have been waiting years, and when I say years, I mean almost 2 decades, for their team to finally get back to the top. And in 2024, they almost did it. The Scuderia lost the Constructors' Championship to McLaren by just 14 points. 14. That's the difference between winning and losing in modern F1. A couple of better strategy calls, a few stronger finishes, and they could have ended their title drought. But could doesn't win championships. Ferrari knows they need something more, something different. Enter Lewis Hamilton. Ferrari didn't sign Hamilton just for the vibes. Although, let's be honest, he looks incredible in red. They brought him in because he's a proven champion. He's been in title fights for over a decade. He knows how to develop a team into a dominant force. And most importantly, he knows how to win when it matters most. Ferrari has been lacking that final piece. That driver who can bring everything together and turn potential into results. Now, does this mean Hamilton is automatically Ferrari's golden ticket to championship glory? Not necessarily. Because while he's been brought in to be the guy, Charles Leclerc isn't just going to step aside. In fact, this is arguably Leclerc's best chance yet to become world champion. He finished 3rd in the Drivers' Championship in 2024 behind Lando Norris and was statistically the best driver on the grid in the second half of the season. He's been with Ferrari for years, suffered through their bad strategy calls, and earned the right to be their number 1. So, the question isn't just can Ferrari win in 2025, it's who will be leading that charge. This is where Hamilton's experience could be the deciding factor. Ferrari has been fast, but they've lacked consistency. They've had weekends where they look like title contenders, and then, the next race, they're nowhere. Their strategy team has had moments of brilliance, but also moments where you're left wondering if they're flipping a coin in the pit wall. And this is where Hamilton's leadership really comes into play. At Mercedes, he was the anchor that kept the team focused, the driver who knew exactly what needed to be done to improve. His feedback, his experience in developing cars, and his ability to extract the absolute maximum from a team is what made Mercedes a dynasty. Ferrari needs that. They need someone who can guide them through the chaos of a title fight and make sure they don't let another golden opportunity slip away. So, can Hamilton deliver Ferrari's first title since 2007? The pieces are there. The car looks competitive, the team is motivated, and Hamilton himself seems reinvigorated. But as always with Ferrari, the real question isn't speed, it's execution. If they get it right, 2025 could finally be the year. If not, well, let's just say Hamilton didn't sign up for another almost season. Let's take a step back for a second. While everyone's talking about Hamilton versus Leclerc, there's a much bigger problem Ferrari needs to worry about: McLaren. Because here's the reality. McLaren enters 2025 as the clear favorite. They were the best team in the second half of 2024. They snatched the Constructors' Championship away from Red Bull and Ferrari, and they've built a car that, at least in testing, looks like the one to beat. So, While Ferrari is figuring out who their number one driver should be, they might need to ask a different question. Does it even matter if they can't catch McLaren? Now, if Ferrari does have the pace, then yes, the Hamilton versus Leclerc battle is a huge deal. But if McLaren has another rocket ship, then Ferrari needs to be laser focused on beating them, because that's where the real championship fight will be. And this brings us to Hamilton versus Norris. Lando Norris is coming off the best season of his career, helping McLaren secure their first Constructors' Championship in over 2 decades. He finished second in the Drivers' Championship behind Max Verstappen and was one of the most consistent performers on the grid. He's young, fearless, and now that he's been in a title fight, he's hungry for more. He's got McLaren fully backing him, a team that's finally rediscovered its championship-winning DNA, and a car that looks like it could be the class of the field. That means Hamilton isn't just fighting Leclerc and Verstappen, he's also up against a driver in peak form, with a team that knows exactly what they're doing. So, can Ferrari develop fast enough to match McLaren's pace? That's the million-dollar question. Because, statistically, Ferrari has never been the fastest team when it comes to in-season development. Red Bull and Mercedes have historically been better at upgrades, and McLaren showed last year that they know how to close a gap quickly. Ferrari needs to prove they can keep up, or else they risk falling into the same trap they always do, starting strong, then fading as the season progresses. And here's where Hamilton's experience becomes Ferrari's secret weapon. This isn't his first rodeo. He's been in these high-pressure, season-long battles so many times, against Vettel, against Rosberg, against Verstappen. He knows how to manage a title fight. He knows when to push, when to hold back, and how to keep the team focused on the big picture. If Ferrari listens to him, if they trust his experience, then they have a real chance of going toe-to-toe with McLaren. But if they get too caught up in their own internal battle, if they waste too much time deciding between Hamilton and Leclerc while McLaren is out there racking up wins, then, by the time Ferrari sorts itself out, Norris might already have one hand on his second championship trophy. So, Ferrari needs to ask itself, what's the real fight here? Because if they don't get it right, 2025 won't be about Hamilton versus Leclerc. It'll be about watching McLaren or Red Bull run away with another title. No one said switching to Ferrari would be easy, but for Hamilton, that's just another reason to rise to the occasion. Charles Leclerc isn't just another teammate. He's a qualifying monster, someone who has spent years mastering Ferrari's setup and extracting every last bit of performance over one lap. If Hamilton wants to go toe-to-toe with him, he'll need to find his rhythm with Ferrari's machinery fast. Because in Formula One, an early points gap can be dangerous. If Leclerc builds momentum, Ferrari could naturally start leaning towards his title push. However, Hamilton thrives in these situations. He's gone up against the best and come out on top. He did it against Alonso in his rookie year and against Rosberg in their legendary title fight. Experience, racecraft, and relentless determination, that's what Hamilton brings to Ferrari. Let's now talk about Ferrari itself. They haven't had a world champion since 2007, and while they've been close, they've never quite managed to close the deal. This is where Hamilton's leadership becomes crucial. If Ferrari listens to his feedback, if they fine-tune their car to match his strengths, they can develop into a title-winning force. The real question isn't if Hamilton can overcome these challenges, it's when. We know what he's capable of, and if history has taught us anything, it's that when Hamilton has a point to prove, he delivers. So while some see obstacles, I see a golden opportunity, and something tells me Hamilton does too. If Ferrari listens to his feedback and fine-tunes the SF25 to match his strengths, they have a real shot at ending their title drought. Leclerc won't make it easy, but Hamilton has never backed down from a challenge. Now, all eyes turn to Melbourne. Will Hamilton's move to Ferrari prove to be a masterstroke, or will old Ferrari struggles resurface? We're about to find out.